We are welcome to the June 6th general session of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners. We will begin this morning's agenda with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Brown.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. The month of June is Myasthenia Gravis Awareness Month, and this morning we have a guest, Sharon Rastatter, to offer some remarks.
She's in the elevator.
She is in the elevator, but we also have Kathy Apple. That's right, I said. Kathy couldn't make it. And Dennis Rapp. Hi, Dennis. How are you? Well, Dennis, I guess the floor is yours. If you.
Or we could wait.
Or we can wait. Or we can wait. Would that be
We
better?
go on.
All right, we'll wait. We'll wait.
We could go.
We'll move on to domestic relations, and we'll come back when they get here. How's that sound? Sorry.
If they're in the elevator, we'll
All
be
right.
good.
So the domestic relations court. Good morning.
Resolution number 402-17, resolution authorizing a Fourth Amendment to the 2017 grant agreement with the Ohio Department of Youth Services in the amount of $90,381.71.
Good morning, Commissioners. Barb Reeds, Deputy Director. With me this morning is Julie Troth, our Deputy Director of Programs. This resolution is requesting changes to our 2017 grant agreement with the Ohio Department of Youth Services. The first change is requesting an increase to our electronic monitoring budget in the amount of $18,000. Additionally, the court is adding a new diversion program which will be staffed by 13 employees. And Julie's here to tell you a little bit about the new program.
Great.
Thank you. Good morning. The Truancy Intervention Prevention Program was prompted by the implementation of House Bill 410. House Bill 410's truancy provisions bring Ohio law in compliance with federal law to reduce the number of youth referred for formal juvenile court proceedings due to truant behavior. In accordance with House Bill 410, the court must consider alternatives to adjudication, such as diversion, with a formal filing in juvenile court being a last resort to address truancy. The program will intervene with youth exhibiting truant behavior as part of absence intervention teams within the school setting in an effort to address attendance barriers and violations of attendance policies. Participating schools include 3 Columbus City schools and Whitehall local schools. The court is also in the process of reaching out to additional school districts based upon the number of highest truancy filings.
Excellent.
I'm going to move for approval of Resolution 402-17.
Second.
Moved and second in voting, Commissioner Brown,
Yes,
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 402-17 has been adopted.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. All right. The sheriff.
Resolution number 403-17, resolution authorizing the acceptance of federal Homeland Security funds from the 2015 and 2016 State of Ohio Homeland Security Program Law Enforcement Grant and the continuation of a full-time position in the Sheriff's Rotary Fund in the amount of $140,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dave Masterson, Director of Administrative Services for Sheriff Baldwin. This resolution authorizes the acceptance of federal Homeland Security funds through the State of Ohio to continue funding a Buckeye State Sheriff's Association liaison deputy. The deputy will be stationed at the Ohio Department of Public Safety Strategic Analysis Information Center and will be charged with keeping all 88 county sheriffs informed of important security information that may impact their region. The funds will cover a 2-year period ending June 30th, 2019. And pending any questions, I ask approval of this resolution.
Move approval of 403-17.
Second.
Moved and second in voting, Commissioner Brown,
Yes,
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 403-17 has been adopted. Resolution number 404-17, resolution authorizing a contract extension with Bob Barker Company Incorporated, Care Supplies LLC, Keefe Group LLC, McKee Foods Corporation, White Feather Farms of Ohio Incorporation, Union Supply Group, Kilson Dayton Company, excuse me, and Y&L for the continuation of providing commissary items for resale in the amount of $1,070,000.
Commissioners, this resolution authorizes a one-year contract extension through March 14th, 2018 with 8 distributors to supply the commissary with needed food and hygiene items. The items will be resold to inmates in both jail facilities with proceeds used to benefit the inmates while incarcerated. With no questions, ask approval of this resolution.
Move approval of 40417.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 404-17 has been adopted.
Thank you.
All right, the Veteran Services.
Resolution number 405-17. Resolution authorizing a contract with Life Care Alliance to provide home-delivered meals to low-income, chronically ill, disabled, and homebound veterans, spouses, and surviving spouses in the amount of $48,900.
Good morning, Commissioners. Adequate nutrition is important to our veterans. This resolution allows us to work with Life Care Alliance to provide home-delivered meals to the veterans in need. We also discussed with Franklin County Office on Aging to be ensured that the service will be available if the demand exceeds this contract amount.
Thank you for doing this. Move approval of 40517.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 405-17 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. All right, so do we have everybody here, or do we want to still? All right, so let's now go back so we can have our guests from the Myasthenia Gravis so we can do to take care of Myasthenia Gravis Awareness Month. Sharon Rastatter, who is your Sheriff, if you want to come on up. I think the microphone's on.
Yeah, hello, I'm Sharon Rastetter,
Good morning.
and I'm co-facilitator of the Myasthenia Gravis Support Group here in Central Ohio. And so I'm here today thanking you for your proclamation declaring this June as the Myasthenia Gravis Awareness Month. I have a couple members here from the group here to at least one can speak. I just want to point out, I don't know if anyone's familiar with the actor Roger Smith, husband of Anne Margaret. He passed away yesterday,
Right.
And he had left his career in acting because of myasthenia gravis. So just wanted to share that. And I'm for it then.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having us today. I know you have quite an agenda, so I'll just be brief. Just wanted to let you know myasthenia gravis is an autoimmune disease. It's very rare. If you were to fill up OSU Stadium, you'd be about 6 of us in the stadium would have myasthenia gravis. It can range anywhere from simply a droopy eyelid and double vision to trouble breathing and swallowing to the point where you would need ventilation to survive. It's an autoimmune disease, which means your body attacks itself. It recognizes healthy muscles as a foreign invader and produces antibodies that block the receptors in those muscles from receiving signals from the nerves. That's the long story short without too much technobabble. So it's very difficult to track. It affects everybody in different ways. They're known as snowflakes. Forget the political term you might have heard in the news recently, in that every patient's different. It affects everybody differently, different parts of the body, different days, different times. I can go all day and walk a couple city blocks, and then as soon as I step up to a step, I'm done. Sharon might be able to speak for 5 or 10 minutes and then need to take a break because she can't speak anymore. It just affects everyone different. But so yeah, we're trying to raise awareness and let people know the seriousness of this, and working toward finding a cure.
Is it a progressive disease?
It can be.
It can be. And is it considered one of the orphan diseases?
That I'm not certain.
Because it affects so few people, I'm sure there's not a lot of resources going toward finding a cure. My daughter has another autoimmune disease like this. It's not myasthenia gravis, but it is considered one of those orphan diseases.
I would say yes.
Yeah.
That it is, yeah.
Yeah.
I was fortunate, 30 years ago, I had it, was treated for 6 months,
Mhm.
and it went away. A year and a half ago, it came back with a
Sure.
vengeance, and I haven't been able to shake it since. And,
Mhm.
you know, it may not go away this time, but yes, we do need more research to finding a
Of
cure.
course.
Everybody's different.
Sure.
Different antibodies that are
Right.
blocking as time goes by, so it's very difficult to nail it.
Mhm.
And also diagnosis is a big factor too. Often misdiagnosed for
Mhm.
something else. Lots of folks get misdiagnosed as having a stroke, which puts them at risk of not getting the treatment that they need, the proper medication
Mhm.
to help them sustain and keep alive.
Well, thank you
So
for
look-
coming in. Yeah. Is that a telltale diagnostic?
Usually the first
It
symptom.
can be. For me, it was walking. I just couldn't walk. It didn't hurt, I just couldn't, I tried to take some steps and just couldn't move any further.
Hmm.
And I was fortunate I didn't fall or anything, but for a lot of people, they would fall.
Mhm.
If I'd rest for 5, 10, 15 minutes, I could walk again. But for some people, it's a couple of days before they can walk again.
It's different for everybody.
Which is the
Sure.
way it is for me. And I have a rare form of the rare disease. And it's very resistant to treatment.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I have not gotten to the point where I have opportunity to have rest and it be restorative. So that's the difficult thing is that it affects so much of your life. I describe it in myself as, you know, I have a mind that runs like Secretariat and a body that wants to run like a horse named Tripod. It just doesn't want to function and keep up with what my mind wants to do.
Hmm.
It's a lot of folks, their lifestyles are
Mhm.
completely disrupted. And if you go to the Myasthenia Gravis Foundation website, they do a survey of patients, how they're doing, and every other question has something to do with depression because their lives have been ruined because of it. So you give up all the hobbies and vocational changes, everything of that nature. So that's all I have. I think.
Well, thank you for coming in.
More of the nature of the disease, and we thank you for your proclamation.
How would somebody get in touch with the organization? Do you have a website that you can give on?
We don't
your-
have the.
Oh, we do actually.
Oh, for.
Yeah.
Huh? Or a Facebook page or something?
Yeah, actually, the best place at this point would go to myasthenia.org and go to support groups, and if they click on that, then it'll take you to all the support groups, including there's a link to ours.
MYASTENIA.org.
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent.
That means a
Wonderful.
severe muscle weakness is what that translates to.
Excellent.
They can
Well-
also get services through the Muscular Dystrophy Association.
Mhm.
It's, myasthenia gravis is within the umbrella of the FDA.
Right.
And so they have an office here in Columbus, and they provide a lot of services as well.
I was always say piggyback, but that's almost too literal.
Well, we'd like to come up and present you with a resolution and get some photos.
Commissioners, thank you so much for having us. Appreciate it. Okay, we leave you to the rest of your agenda. Sorry about your luck.
We always tell our guys, welcome to stay. Usually they don't. Most folks aren't as riveted by our government agenda as we are. All right, back to Job and Family Services.
Resolution number 406-17, resolution approving a subaward agreement with the Educational Service Center of Central Ohio on behalf of the Franklin County Family and Children's First Council to pilot a school-based trauma-informed care training and services program in the amount of $1,554,401.70.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Charles Noble, Franklin County Job and Family Services.
Joy Bivens, Franklin County Job and Family Services. I was going to say family first.
So thank you for your time today. Today we're here to talk about a resolution that will approve a subaward agreement with the Educational Service Center of Central Ohio as the fiscal agent for the Franklin County Family and Children's First Council to pilot a school-based trauma-informed program training educators to better identify and serve students impacted by adverse childhood experiences. There's a great deal of research surrounding the impact of traumatic adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs. The Centers for Disease Control has determined that they can inhibit the development of executive functioning skills in youth. This can lead to long-term medical, mental health, and behavioral implications, making it more difficult for students to succeed in the classroom, and even more so once they subsequently enter the workforce. This resolution would fund a new initiative led by Franklin County Family and Children's First Council called Building Better Lives. This initiative is based off the nationally recognized neurosequential model in education, which helps educators and other support professionals better understand the impact of ACEs on youth brain development and design and apply appropriate trauma-informed interventions for at-risk students. The Building Better Lives initiatives will be piloted in Columbus City Schools' feeder pattern for East High School. So I wanted to take a moment to just talk about some of the socio-demographic data coming out of the Near East Side. Education, 17.5% of adults 25 years or older don't have a high school diploma, as compared to 10.3% around the rest of the county. Unemployment on the Near East Side is 30% of 16-year-olds, or 30% of folks 16-year-olds and older, compared to 8.7% around the county. The incarceration rate is 12.9 incarcerations per 1,000 adults, compared to 3 for the rest of the county, and the life expectancy on the Near East Side is 70.4 years compared to 77.2 around other areas of the county. Each school will have access to a NME coach, a wraparound service coordinator, and trained therapists. FCFC anticipates training approximately 400 teachers and staff, who will in turn serve more than 3,000 students in the feeder pattern, with about 300 students who are estimated to require individualized services. FCFC will also rigorously evaluate the outcomes and refine strategies accordingly.
So, Commissioners, we just really want to take a really quick, divert real quick and just acknowledge Jane White. She is in the audience from the Family First Council. Her organization is the one leading this work on trauma. Many times as we hear about ACEs study, we just say the term ACEs, and people really don't understand. I'm just going to, for the sake of the camera, it's really adverse childhood experiences. So what is an adverse childhood experience? It could be a child seeing mom being abused. It could be homelessness. It could be not eating, not having home stability in your home, your housing. So what happens is, as children go to school, many times they can act out because of the adverse childhood experiences. These children grow up to become adults, and unfortunately, if these issues are not dealt with properly, they end up having more sustainable issues as adults later on in life. We believe that this program is innovative and progressive, and just piloting it to train our educators on how to, first of all, educate them on what adverse childhood experiences are, and then equip them with the tools necessary in working with students who may experience adverse childhood experiences. So there's an ACE assessment that is done. I believe when we were in D.C., Commissioner O'Grady sat on the LUC committee, and this is one of the sessions that we covered. And again, the assessment goes over anything from, do you live with anyone who has a problem with drinking, or was a drinker? Did a household member go to prison? All these things contribute to stress, which is toxic stress for students.
So pending any questions, we ask for the Commissioner's approval of this resolution.
I'll just add, if I could, this is a real element. And when we look at, Charles, you laid out the statistics that make the East Side an outlier for the county. And those are real statistics that they're layered, because those are just a handful of statistics, but there are probably 24 more where that particular community is an outlier. And if I could speak, this is probably not the right forum to get detailed into it, but most of you, if you know anything about me, you know my story. And you know, my father was murdered when I was 7 years old, and that's one of those experiences that when you're 7, it's hard to describe the lifelong impact that that experience is like. You know, I can barely remember what I did yesterday, but I can remember in detail that day. Yeah, you know, in very much detail that day. And I think those kind of experiences, if you don't have the support system or resources to overcome them, can really damage a child's life experience. And furthermore, many of those kids have multiple traumatic experiences that are layered. So it's not just a parent going to prison or someone in your family going to prison or substance abuse. Oftentimes it's multiple things.
You're right.
And so that, you know, this effort and resource is a greater conversation in effects of poverty, in sort of the social elements and needs that help sort of break the cycle of poverty and go on and on and on and on. You know, even the graduation rates and dropout rates and substance abuse and all those things. And so, I mean, this is one of those items that is what I refer to as real work in what we do in public service, because it's life-changing, it's life-altering, and it's that old saying, a rising tide lifts all boats. If we can strengthen the weakest of our communities statistically, then we can strengthen our entire Franklin County. And so this is one of those projects, one of those programs that I think in the long haul will do that. And so I'm glad to hear that we're going to be tracking this statistically and really following and perhaps replicating the work once we see the impact. So
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think this is the work we do. And you know, every one of those numbers is people in the community, and you know, it's so important.
Right. And we're looking, commissioners, also tentatively, they're having conversations with the superintendent of Whitehall City Schools in addition to Southwestern City Schools. And you asked the other day about the early learners. Not this particular grant, but there is some work being done. And again, Jane is in the room, being done for some of our early learner preschoolers in this area as well.
Good. Good. The earlier we catch these issues with kids, the better off they will be, and our community gets stronger. So I am so glad we're doing this. I'll move for approval of Resolution 40617.
And I just quickly too, I just add that I think this is really another example of where you as director, your experience in education helps really align this conversation around poverty. And I like what I see coming from your department, because there always seems to be an educational link to what we're doing, and I appreciate that a second.
Yeah, and I appreciate your transparency today, Commissioner. Thank you for sharing that.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 406-17 has been adopted.
Thank you.
You. Economic Development and Planning.
Resolution number 407-17, resolution authorizing the assignment and assumption agreement of the Community Reinvestment Area Agreement between Franklin County and the Columbus Regional Airport Authority.
Good morning.
Morning, Commissioners. James Schimmer, Director of Economic Development. I'm joined at the dais this morning by Josh Roth. We're going to take you through a resolution this morning, Commissioners, that continues our involvement with Rickenbacker Development. As you know, the Global Logistics Campus has been a large planning effort, and over the years has resulted in some terrific economic development in the warehouse industry down at Rickenbacker. Specifically within that Global Logistics Campus is a rail campus piece. It has been slow to develop, I guess is how I would put it. But I think we are at a position right now where we have the opportunity to move forward on a deal that will create a building down there that will kick off the rail campus and start the process for development. I will mention to you that this is a little unusual in that we have a pre-1994 CRA and a post-1994 CRA that actually involve the parcel that this building will be constructed on. So one of the things that I believe would be universal in the development community is the idea of predictability. A developer who's going to spend millions of dollars on a project and wants to know that they have predictable tax incentives in this case. And so this particular resolution coming before you that Josh will talk about this morning provides that predictability for the developer, allowing them to move forward on a speculative building down in Rickenbacker. Kristen Easterday from the CRAA is in the audience this morning, as well as Scott Zients, the attorney from Voorhees, Sater, Seymour, and Pease, who's put the deal together, and then Art Macris, who is the Duke's representative, are in the audience if you have any questions. But I'm going to ask Josh to take you through the resolution this morning.
Right.
Commissioners, I would echo what Director Shimmers mentioned, and that pointing out that this resolution itself isn't all that exciting. It's a little bit more procedural in nature, and this is something that we'll have to do any time that a tax abated property changes hands. It's just a factor of state code. But again, it hints at some really exciting development that's about to take place down at Rickenbacker. And so I'll leave the details of the project and what it means for the area to Mr. Macris. But this resolution concerns a community reinvestment area tax abatement agreement with the Airport Authority for the rail campus down at Rickenbacker. And this CRA agreement was originally authorized in 2006, shortly after the rail campus was designated as the Canal Voss Community Reinvestment Area. And all of that for the purpose of incentivizing industrial development, which is exactly what this project is. So the Airport Authority is looking to transfer roughly 38 acres of property in the CRA to a subsidiary of Duke, and that is DRCS 1661 LLC. They are a Delaware limited liability company. And the purpose of the resolution would be to approve an assignment and assumption agreement where the benefits of the original abatement agreement are assigned to the subsidiary of Duke, and then in turn DRCS will assume all of the obligations of that program. Art, you want to come say a couple words?
So is this the pre-1994 or the post-1994?
As Director Schimmer indicated, the parcel encompasses both CRA agreements, so we're a little more complicated than normal, but we were able to work.
So it's both?
It's both.
Yeah.
It is. So we're very excited. This is the first speculative building we've done since 2009, which was right before the Great Recession, what you want to say. But we've had tremendous success coming out of the recession, developing in Rickenbacker a number of projects, and now with the help of the Port Authority, we're opening up the rail campus. Total rail campus is approximately 320 acres. This allows us to put in the first cul-de-sac street into the rail campus and kick it off with a 674,000 square foot spec building, estimated to be around $30 million total project cost. That's land, building, and tenant improvements. The building is expandable to 1 million square feet, so we'll be able to capture a bigger user. Then it also opens up an additional 80 acres to the north, which we can do about 1.5 million square feet project. So it's very exciting. It opens it up and capitalizes on everything that the county and the Port Authority and the city have done down in Rickenbacker.
The inland port that we all talk about and have talked about with rail being there has been such an important asset that's been underutilized for so long. So this is terrific, and thank you for investing. Go ahead.
I was just going to add that I was meeting with Jim Schimmer, Director Schimmer, yesterday with looking at our sister city relationships internationally. We were talking about just the relationships in the broad scheme of things and how oftentimes they equate to meaningful or substantive relationships. You know, what a lot of people in Central Ohio don't realize is that we are geographically positioned as a logistical hub for the United States in many ways. And so when we're investing in these relationships internationally and then we have this type of investment expansion, you really do have a broader economic development plan, I think that's in place that over the long haul of time is meaningful. And I mean, this is an important expansion. I was out at Rickenbacker, I don't know, a month or so ago to see some of the freight coming in and leaving, and it's an amazing thing to see how that's grown over the last 25 years or 20 years or so. It's been, when I started as a city council member, we were just kind of developing the district and reinvesting. I know the county really led the effort to create Rickenbacker as that hub of logistical expansion for the U.S. really, and it's amazing to see what it's turned into be. I mean, I don't know if you can give us a quick stat on the number of jobs that exist in the entire Rickenbacker and the commerce that takes place from a quantitative standpoint, but it's significant.
Yeah, I mean, very quickly, some rough numbers is 60 million square feet of warehouse space down there, and the number varies. It's a seasonal number sometimes, but generally I think we could be safe to say that we have 18,000 plus employees down there. So it is an amazing hub of economic development activity in so many ways. The key, though, is that it's multimodal, meaning rail, air cargo. It only happens in one place in the United States in a lot of ways, and this is it. So,
the 2011 international trip that we did to India was spurred by the Sister Cities initiative, and it became a foreign direct investment trade, trip that we did along with Columbus 2020, and a huge part of that trip was us, selling and pushing Rickenbacker, and so it becomes Rickenbacker has become kind of a centerpiece of a lot of the stuff that I've tried to push from an international perspective, and it's the reason why I belong to. I'm a member of the NACO International Economic Development Committee. It's the whole reason I joined the committee was because of Rickenbacker. So my activities there have centered around the Rickenbacker piece. And so, and Jim and I are now talking with Sister Cities again about the possibility of some trips this fall. I don't know where we are with those conversations, but there are some possibilities of 2, potentially 3 international trips this fall, possibly, that we're talking to Sister Cities and the City of Columbus and Columbus 2020 about. So we'll see.
Well, Commissioners, I think, again, on this particular deal, I want to speak up for the development community because I think a key thing is that Franklin County has been able to provide predictability along with our partners at the city. And why that's important is simply because we are in a very competitive environment, whether it's Indianapolis or Louisville or a number of different places. We want to be in the lead. This spec building will allow us to do that. So we are recommending the resolution to you this morning.
Well, I will be happy to move for approval resolutions 40717.
Second.
Moved and second in voting, Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 407-17 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioners.
Thanks, guys. Community partnerships.
Resolution number 408-17, resolution authorizing a collaboration agreement with the Affordable Housing Trust for Columbus and Franklin County to support the production of affordable housing units in the amount of $3,002,350.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dana McCrary, Community Partnerships Coordinator with OMB, and I'm very excited to speak about this resolution this morning. You all, I know, are very well aware that even when you have a healthy budget and a neighborhood in mind, that it can be difficult to find the right place to live in the neighborhood that you desire. So it is really forward thinking, I think, that we have this Affordable Housing Trust for Columbus and Franklin County to be able to assure that every Franklin County resident can have access to many different types of affordable housing, whether it would be rental units or single-family homes. And Steve Gladman is here with us this morning and can speak a little bit more about the work that they're doing. Steve Gladman's work sort of branches out in many areas. They are spearheading the Affordable Housing Trust, also working with Shelley Whalen, who is here with Community Mediation Services. And I have not had the pleasure of meeting him yet, but we also have here with us this morning Sheldon Johnson, who is here representing Community Development for All People, and that organization is doing amazing things with affordable housing on the South Side. So I would ask all of them to come forward, because I know that we would like to be able to hear from them all a little bit about the work that they are doing to really increase the access of affordable housing in our county.
Councilman Norrie.
Commissioners, good morning.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure to be here. I should receive this in the mail, but just in case, I got copies. This is our 2016 report. And first of all, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I want to thank the support of the Commission for the last 16 years, as well as the citizens of Franklin County. So far, we've done over $120 million in loans. We've helped preserve, create, facilitate about 8,300 additional units of affordable housing in Franklin County. Included in the report is the economic impact that it has, and it's pretty significant because of the direct construction and the indirect costs. So we have Dr. Lafayette do that analysis each year, and that's contained in the report as well. As mentioned, we do a variety of projects. We work with for-profit and non-profits, tax credit projects, we do permanent supported housing projects. The CDCs are involved in some single-family projects as well. So we have a variety of partners that we've been able to support through lending. Oftentimes, that lending only works with participation of the city or county, providing additional equity in the form of grants, because it's very difficult to produce affordable housing. Whether you produce affordable housing that costs $1,700 a month or $700 a month, it costs the same to build it or to preserve it. So there's always some form of subsidy, either through development subsidies or through rent subsidies that are required for it to receive. So we thank you also for those participations in many deals that allow us to do. Affordable housing is fundamentally an income issue. If we raise the income of our residents, we would lose that whole top tier of housing burden people just through normal job growth. So the efforts of the city and the county to do economic development and workforce development is equally important for affordable housing. So again, we thank you. Take questions.
We know the good work you do, and, you know, there's no question of that. So thank you.
Hate to keep adding so much commentary to everyone, but these just really are these fundamentally important things that Franklin County does. And housing, affordable housing, is really just, no matter how you measure quality of life, it's one of the major factors in quality of life. And so, I mean, this work is critical. You can't have enough affordable housing in a city that's 850,000 in a county that's 1.2 plus million people. You'll never have enough affordable housing. So we appreciate the work, and you're doing a great job as leader of the organization. And
thank you.
Good morning.
This is Sheldon Johnson.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Sheldon Johnson. I'm the Managing Director at Community Development for All People, here representing our Executive Director, Reverend John Edgar. I'd really just echo what Commissioner Boyce said. You know, affordable housing is so important to our community. So the work that we do on the south side of Columbus, Steve Gladman and the Affordable Housing Trust, the ability that we have to do creative projects and have financing available to us that as a community development corporation we wouldn't necessarily be able to have access to those funds at the favorable interest rates that we are able to. So, I mean, we do millions of dollars of work with the Affordable Housing Trust, whether that's affordable rental, whether that's construction financing, or I think We're doing half of our long-term financing through Healthy Neighborhoods, Healthy Families, which is our partnership with Nationwide Children's Hospital through the Affordable Housing Trust. So the work that we're doing that we think is very important to the community, important to the city and the county, would not be happening if it wasn't for the Affordable Housing Trust and this partnership with the county. So we're here in full support of continuing this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you.
All our best to Reverend Ecker.
We also have this morning Shelley Whalen, who is with the Community Mediation Services, and that is just incredibly important because the work that Shelley does really helps people from ending up in the street. Once you have an eviction on your credit report, it's virtually impossible. It's very, very difficult to overcome that and have access to any type of housing. So, Shelley, please tell us a little bit more about your work.
Hi, folks. Delighted to be here. As many of you probably know, unfortunately, Franklin County has a very high number of evictions going on every year. More than 19,000 people are having evictions filed against them in this county every year. The vast majority of those folks are at or below 30% of the area median income. 96% of all evictions happen because people can't afford to pay their rent. Housing costs keep going up, wages stay stagnant. There are just tremendous numbers of people being ravaged by evictions. Our agency for the last 7 years has been working in collaboration with the Franklin County Municipal Court, Legal Aid, a host of other partners in the community to try and prevent unnecessary evictions. We are able to do so 95% of the time when we intervene with a family. We're mediating tenant-landlord conflicts daily, just across the way at 375, 9 to noon every day. You can go and watch hundreds of people file into a courtroom with their housing at risk. We're able to prevent 45% of those evictions through mediation, and another 50% of the time we're able to prevent the eviction on the record of the tenant by helping them negotiate a move-out plan that gives them more time to find an alternative, stable place to live rather than ending up in a shelter. So we're following up a year after our intervention and finding that 85% of the people we help are having no further eviction trouble after 12 months. So we're doing a lot of educating of tenants and landlords about how to prevent unnecessary evictions. So finding funding for prevention of homelessness has been dominated my life for the last 7 years. Our agency's been alive for 28 years. The last 7 have been ungodly. It cost 1/10 as much to prevent a family from becoming homeless than it costs to house them in an emergency shelter and then re-establish them in the community. It makes economic sense, and I'm delighted that you have the wisdom
You know,
to help
we
support
know
it.
this, and we know that for landlords, it's less expensive for a landlord to keep somebody in a home rather than evicting, going through that process, then having to get the unit that they've evicted somebody from ready to re-rent. Do they not see this? I mean,
Yes, they do, and which is why, as I say, when we sit down with the landlord, 45% of the time they will agree to the tenant's pay and stay agreement, which allows the tenant to maintain their housing and not get evicted, and another 50% of the time
Right.
when the tenant can't negotiate the pay and stay.
to do this at the end. So is there not an opportunity for funding from the apartment association? I know you've been struggling with funding, and I'm really happy we're able to help. And and that the Housing Trust is able to do this
Absolutely.
year. And I don't understand why it would be so difficult. This makes so much sense to me.
Well, we are
And I
getting...
know how you've been struggling. I do. I really do.
I will say that landlords I think, have become more and more supportive of working with mediation in lieu of going through with those evictions. And so maybe the next step in all of that is to actually get them to embrace funding our project.
That way, you know, I think what you're doing is so critically important to the whole picture that we need to change. Evictions have ravaged our community. There's no question about it. So all of you, what you're doing is so critically important. I move approval of Resolution 40817. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Second.
You guys do some fantastic work, obviously, and you know, we sit up here all the time, and you know, we talk about all the development work that every week. You know, Jim comes in and we do all this great business with the business community. We've been talking recently about all this development that's going on all over the community and all these projects we get involved in, and then we talk with Joy and we talk about all this work that we do in the community. And I've been saying for the last, I don't know how long, there's a disconnect here. We've got a shortage of affordable housing. We're developing all over the community. There's all this, you know, there's construction going on everywhere. And so right now there's this disconnect. There's this issue going on. I've got a meeting this afternoon to talk about with the folks with the Community Shelter Board. You know, we've got a shortage of affordable housing. We've got people on the streets. We've got, you know, a need there. We've got, and yet at the same time, Columbus is this unbelievable, in this unbelievable, prosperous time of development and growth. And so we've got to figure something out. It's something that the three of us have been struggling with. We're trying to figure out, from our perspective, where the county's role is. How do we fit in this? You know, as we're trying to provide these services, we're trying to provide for our folks and our clients, and trying to provide, you know, what we're trying to do at the same time, trying to be involved in development and you know, and people, you know, continue to come to us and ask, you know, for our help in development and for our help in all of these projects. And so we're just trying to figure out, you know, where we need to be. But you know, at the end of the day, you know, you guys know the numbers better than us. There's 32,000 lives, 54,000 units. You know, we're upside down. We've got to build more affordable housing. We've got people on the streets. We've got things we've got to address. We've got problems we need help with. And you guys are doing fantastic work, but we've still got a lot of work we've got to do. So thank you for everything you're doing. We really appreciate you guys doing great work. Keep it up.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 408-17 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Sorry, if I don't know, I just put a downer on the test. I didn't mean to do that. You guys are doing fantastic work, so I didn't mean to do that.
Resolution number 409-17, resolution authorizing a one-year contract with the Community Shelter Board to provide housing for families and individuals who are experiencing a housing crisis in the amount of $5,039,490.
Commissioners, this resolution will provide ongoing support to the Community Shelter Board, who really is charged with the task of identifying and supporting the organizations that are actually in the trenches, providing shelter options for single men and women as well as families throughout Franklin County. So they really try to identify opportunities to divert families from shelter. So this is just an important part of that continuum of care that we have, trying to prevent people from being evicted from housing, trying to create affordable housing opportunities, and then that last resort of when nothing else can be done, making sure that people have access to temporary emergency shelter.
And I would add to that, Dana, when we did a task force that I was asked to chair for the Shelter Board and the Columbus Foundation, what was identified was that their role at the Shelter Board and their funding partners was to be the emergency room, if you use a medical model, that they wanted to be that emergency room when no other option was available. That's when they get called in, and that other prevention options needed to be in place, which we're still working on with affordable housing, the eviction, community mediation, other kinds of programs to prevent homelessness. But if they become desperate and homeless and near homeless, that shelter would be there for them. And so I will move for approval of this resolution.
Second. Moved and second in voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 409-17 has been adopted. Resolution number 410-17. Resolution authorizing a one-year contract with the Franklin County Public Health Department to provide influenza vaccine to Franklin County residents in need in the amount of $52,800.
Commissioners, this resolution provides funding to make the influenza vaccine available to more than 1,500 Franklin County residents who are underinsured or uninsured, and I think that you can certainly magnify that factor by the people who would come in contact with those persons who have not been vaccinated in their churches, at the grocery store, in schools, all throughout the community. This morning we're fortunate to have Debbie Wright and John Wolf here with us from Franklin County Public Health. And it seems, you know, maybe an odd time to be talking about the flu vaccine. However, you know, I think Debbie would agree that we should always be having this conversation to prevent the spread and advancement of the flu.
Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Debbie Wright. I'm the Assistant Health Commissioner and Director of Prevention and Wellness at Franklin County Public Health. And I would like to offer my thanks and acknowledgement of the commissioners for the many years that we've received funding to be able to provide flu vaccine to underinsured and uninsured adults, primarily in Franklin County. Fortunately, we have a federal program set up for children called the Vaccine for Children program, and that does provide vaccine for kids who are uninsured or underinsured. But even with the Affordable Care Act and the push to get more people with insurance into providers, it's still been very difficult, and we do see a lot of uninsured, especially adults. So as you all know, influenza is a big deal. It is a relatively it's a relative topic that doesn't get a lot of attention, except when the flu does hit. And so fortunately in the last couple of years we've had a fairly quiet flu season, which is a good thing. But I just wanted to say that with those dollars, we're able to provide the 1,500 vaccinations to primarily adults. With our partners in Franklin County, the Breathing Association, Life Care Alliance, Columbus Public Health, and I'm missing somebody, I shouldn't do that, charitable pharmacies, along with us.
When you start listing.
The other part of that is to provide a bit of a campaign to really get that message out. We find we have more luck when we do those ads at the movie theaters. We tend to get a lot more response after those for whatever reason, but that seems to work. Anyway, we also, last year as well as this year, are planning to have a mass flu clinic, which also offers us an opportunity to exercise our capabilities as a public health agency in the event that we would need to go into emergency preparedness, in the event we would have another H1N1. We don't want to do that, but that's, we tend to want to make sure that we're all prepared for that. So with that, again.
So Debbie, I'm your poster child, but let me ask you, so the flu shot is, if I'm not mistaken, it's what they do is they give you a shot that is prepared for all known strains of the flu, correct?
Primarily, yes, 2A strains and 2B strains, and so it's a quadrivalent vaccine.
So you're basically protected against every known flu. You're only going to get the flu if we get a strain of the flu that we haven't seen before.
Typically, yes. The flu vaccine is prepared almost a year ahead of time for the next flu season based on what they see in other parts of the world. And so with our global life, we tend to carry those viruses with us.
So I'm a heart patient. I've been a heart patient for 17 years, 18 years now. So I've had a flu shot every year for the last 18 years. I've had the flu once in 18 years. So I'm your poster child. Get your flu shot, people. My kids get their flu shot every year. My wife gets her flu shot every year. My wife whines about it every year, but she gets her flu shot. We don't get the flu in our family. We got the flu. The kids got the flu a few times because they'd come home with some, we used to call it the daycare crud. It wasn't really the flu. It was something else. We call it come on, you know what I'm talking about, right? You bring home stuff from daycare. You bring home stuff from daycare. It's not really the flu.
It's not the
but
flu.
we don't. I've had the flu once. Now, when I had it, it was pretty bad because it was something that they hadn't seen. It was some sort of a new flu or whatever. But I've had the flu one time in 18 years. That's pretty good. Get your flu shot. You can get it at your doctor's office. Heck, you can get it at Kroger.
You can get it.
You can get it about anywhere these days. Get your flu shot. You're stupid not to. That's right. I called the public. I called you stupid. You'd be silly not to get the flu shot. Get your flu shot.
The flu vaccine is typically available late summer, so late August all the way through, and we've given vaccines out all the way through April.
Really?
So, yes.
Yeah?
I didn't mean that. You're not really stupid. You'd be silly.
Flu season technically runs October through May, actually.
Yeah.
So.
Just to add to what you were saying, Debbie, when one of my children was very young, they had an egg allergy, so that child could not receive the flu vaccine, so it was very, very important for everybody else in the family to receive that flu vaccine. And what if we didn't have health insurance, and what if we didn't have access to it? It really would have, kind of rolled downhill and jeopardized the health of a very young child who had limited immunity anyway. So we really appreciate the fact that you go into every corner, including the movie theater, to find people who need access to those flu shots.
And we, if I'm not mistaken, we put it on our website.
And
we have
links. Yes, absolutely.
So we'll do all we can to help you guys promote this as well. And I mean, you should get your flu shot.
It's a big deal.
It is.
You can get. starting when? This is.
Depending, Walgreens typically is the first to offer flu vaccine. It's usually late August.
Late August. But if if you're getting to Halloween and you haven't had your flu shot yet, that's
we really encourage you to do that.
You need to get your flu shot by September, October at the latest.
So you'll get a trick and not a treat.
That's right. That's right. You go see your doctor after Labor Day. You go see your doctor. You get a flu shot. You can go to Kroger and get a flu shot. You can get a flu shot about anywhere these days.
Right.
So
give us a call. We'll give you.
When it's football season, go get a flu shot.
That's right.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes, sir.
Kenneth Wilson, County Administrator. Putting my Thrive On hat and being an employer of several thousand here in the county. We have actively promoted flu shots, and we'll do so. We offer on-site flu shots here, as well as encourage individuals to go to local pharmacies and for the flu shots. And I know the Public Health Department does an excellent job of advertising via the internet. You could be reading something over the internet and you'll see the logos come up. And is this still known as Project Love, or has that changed?
Yeah, that has changed. Project Love is still in place at Columbus Public Health, but we're looking at it a little more broadly now across children and adults. So.
Okay.
Great.
Good.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Yes.
I move approval of 41017.
Second.
Moved and, excuse me, moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 14-17 has been adopted.
Good to see
Thanks,
you.
guys. Good to see you. Good to see you, John. Tell your wife hello. Human Resources.
Resolution number 411-17, resolution approving personnel actions.
Good morning, Commissioners. Sue Hamilton from the Department of Human Resources. Before you today is the resolution for the personnel actions. Pending questions, I request your approval.
Move approval of 41117.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 411-17 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sue. Purchasing.
Resolution number 412-17, resolution approving purchases for various Franklin County agencies in the amount of $1,387,994.41.
Good morning, Commissioners. Carl Cuthbert representing the Purchasing Department. The resolution before you requests your approval of 93 purchase orders. These purchase orders have been pre-certified as availability fund by the county auditor. Pending any questions, I recommend their approval.
Move for approval of 41217.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 412-17 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carl. Board of Commissioners.
Resolution number 413-17, resolution authorizing a supplemental appropriation within the Scioto Peninsula Redevelopment Fund.
Good morning, Commissioners. Zach Tularic with the Office of Management and Budget. This resolution would authorize appropriation of $13,908.27. This is the remaining balance in the fund. These expenditures were originally anticipated in 2016, however carried forward to the current year. Pending any questions, would ask for approval of this resolution.
Move approval of 41317.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 413-17 has been adopted. Resolution number 414-17, resolution reappointing Karen Jefferson Morrison to the Community Shelter Board of Trustees.
Good morning, Commissioners. Eric Chanis, Deputy Administrator. Pending any questions, would recommend this reappointment.
Move for approval of 41417.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 414-17 has been adopted. Resolution number 415-17, resolution submitting names to the State Emergency Planning Commissioner for final approval and appointment to the Local Emergency Planning Committee, known in Franklin County as the Chemical Emergency Preparedness Advisory Council.
Commissioners, as you are aware, we periodically, actually annually, do appointments to the CPAC. That resolution will be coming later this summer, where we do the complete reappointments or new appointments to the committee. However, this is the additive names to the list for different reasons. People have been recommended to be a part of this committee, and so this will be to complete the terms through the end of the summer. And then I will be bringing, there are five names on the list, and then I will be bringing the full resolution forward later this summer. Pending any questions, would recommend approval.
Move approval of 41517.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 415-17 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Resolution number 416-17, approving the remarketing of the County of Franklin, Ohio's limited obligation multifamily housing refunding revenue bond series 2007 PEDCOR investment 2000 to a fixed rate in connection with an alternative credit facility, including any amendments to the loan agreement and indenture, and approving and authorizing other actions in respect thereto.
Come on up. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners. I am Kip Wallers with Ice Miller. We are bond counsel on this transaction. This is a transaction where the Board of Commissioners is being essentially asked to grant authority for waiver of certain provisions in the indenture, which in connection with a transaction where the existing bonds, which were issued by Franklin County in 2007, are going to be changed from a variable rate to a fixed rate. A Ginnie Mae security is going to be delivered in place of the existing mortgage. There is a requirement in the indenture that any bonds that are issued at a fixed rate be rated in one of the top rating categories by the rating agencies. Ginnie Mae's typically don't have this rating. There is a new purchaser for the bonds, and the purchaser will provide consent and will consent to the going out in this form. 6 months from now, there will be a more formal refinancing under a new structure without a trustee, but there needs to be a 6-month gap between this restructuring, the fixing of the rate, and the refinancing at the end of the year.
The only question I have is that, so that 6-month gap, you're referring to the swaps, the 07A swap?
Correct.
Bonds that are in the swap. So those will now be in the new agreement, will be fixed rate?
Correct.
Bonds, and they're able to do that?
Yes, they would. Yes, and it will be redone essentially. I think it's a fixed rate deal without a bond trustee using that structure in a permanent structure.
That's great. What's the par amount on the swap?
Oh, gee whiz. I am not sure. It is whatever the principal amount of these bonds is. It's something like $7 million.
This one's 9.9. So I'm just curious what the total amount.
My guess is we're going to be right. It's going to be right. At about 9.9. I'm not sure what the amortization has been. I just don't have that information with me.
Do we know what the savings is on the bonds?
I think it's. I don't know. No, I don't know. I mean, there is a variable rate structure with the mortgages, and so I'm not sure I'm not sure exactly what the savings are going to be. Obviously, there'll be the savings that will be in place in 6 months.
It may not be because you're going from variable to fixed. I mean, it's possible that it's not, but it's still worth it considering you got those swap agreements in place, and it's good to get out of those. So this looks like a good transaction.
Very good.
I'll move for approval of 4/16/17.
Second.
Moved and second in voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 416-17 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Antoine, is there any journalizations?
We have one from Office of Economic Development and Planning, case number ANX-09-17, a municipal annexation, ANX-09-17, was filed with the Franklin County Economic Development and Planning Department on May 26, 2017. The petition is requesting to annex portions of Jackson Pike, State Route 104, and Stringtown Road, public right-of-way. The right-of-way will be annexed. The right-of-way to be annexed is owned by the City of Grove City and total 4 acres. The petition was filed by Stephen J. Smith on behalf of the City of Grove City. The petition will be considered by the Board of Commissioners on June 20th, 2017. Site is portions of Jackson Pike, State Route 104, and Stringtown Road, public right-of-way.
Excellent. All right, well, that concludes our business for June 6th. We will see everybody next week.